I think we found a stereo that might be one of the biggest steals of the year, the Dual XVM1000Ui. Hear me out. This single-din stereo comes in under $200, has an oversized 10.1-inch capacitive touchscreen display, Bluetooth, USB smartphone screen mirroring for both iPhone and Android, plus unique display mounting options. Stay tuned in a few minutes for our power testing. But it does have some cons, which we'll get to in a little bit. Inside the box is a quick start guide, wiring harness which also features a steering wheel control input, wireless remote control, hardware, radio removal tools, single DIN chassis, and a 10.1-inch display with carrying pouch. The top of the display features several command buttons as well as a micro SD card slot. The side features a USB port and 3.5mm auxiliary inputs. The display and chassis connect via the harness sticking out of the chassis and the inputs on the rear of the display. The rear connections on the chassis include wiring harness for power, ground, and speaker and steering wheel control, backup camera, one set of 2-volt RCA preamp outputs, radio antenna, and a wire for Bluetooth antenna connection. Booting up the stereo requires that you press the power button. Dual was clearly inspired by Sony and Pioneer to make a single DIN with a large display that features adjustable mounting. The Dual's mounting is much more simple than the Sony XAV-AX8000 and the new Pioneer WT head units. Let's mount it. You'll notice that the chassis has a small rod. Pull this rod out from the chassis. On both ends of the chassis are openings for the circular grooved connectors from the display, as well as locks on the edges. Plug the harness from the chassis into the inputs on the back of the display. Then slide the grooved mounts into the inserts on the chassis. Lock the display in place. Make sure you can see out through the hole to the other side. Slide the rod back in through the mount. From here, you'll be able to customize the display to your liking. Dual gives you multiple tilt angles to choose from. Simply unlock the mount and tilt the angle to your desired angle and then lock it again. You can also adjust the height of the display with ease by applying minimal pressure up or down on the display. Use both hands. Once you have the display how you like it, you're all set. Speaking of displays, this one looks great. It's not quite HD, the resolution is 1024 by 600, but it's surprisingly sharp and detailed. This is a capacitive touchscreen, meaning it's similar to your smartphone and definitely highly responsive. The OS is a little lackluster, but again, this is under $200. This stereo does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and they cannot be added on. The radio tuner features 30 preset stations, 18 FM and 12 AM. Use the command buttons on the top of the display to adjust volume, or connect it to your steering wheel controls, the Axxess ASWC Universal Interface, link in the bio. Bluetooth is used for hands-free calling and wireless music streaming with music tags. The Bluetooth music source is underwhelming, but at least it has its own source icon. Again, the side of the display features a USB input and 3.5mm auxiliary input. With the USB thumb drive, the stereo plays back MP3 and FLAC audio files, JPEG images, as well as MPEG 1, MPEG 2, and MPEG 2.5 video files. The USB port also allows for the crown jewel feature of this head unit, smartphone screen mirroring. This works for both iPhone and Android devices. For iPhone, all you need to do is connect the stereo with Bluetooth and USB. iPhone users will be limited and will not be able to play back copywritten content like YouTube or Netflix, but it's ideal for navigation apps and web browsing. Android users must also be connected via Bluetooth and USB, but also must download the Android APK screen cap when prompted on their device. It's called Drawing Screen APK. Once downloaded, reconnect and enable Drawing Screen. Android users will not be limited like iPhone users and can play copywritten video content like YouTube. I want to point out some major cons with this stereo. First, its lack of audio expandability. There is only one set of RCA preamp outputs for this head unit, rear only. This will disappoint many people with systems. A workaround for your amplifier connection would be to get a multi-channel line output converter. For example, the Audio Control LC2i. It will turn the speaker level outputs on the wiring harness to low-level RCA outputs to be connected to your amplifier. Second, the screen mirroring does have some issues, specifically with Waze. Waze would not work on iPhone and got glitchy with Android. And again, iPhone screen mirroring will not play back copywritten videos like YouTube or Netflix, but Android will. Lastly, limited expandability options. It does have a backup camera input, but other than that, no AV inputs or anything for iData Link, nothing like that. Let's test this thing out. The first test we ran was 2 channels driven at 4 ohms, 14.4 volts, 1 kHz EQ flat. Our audio precision will generate our signal and measure distortion. At volume 30, our HP A903B audio analyzer picked up 18.4 watts RMS, 1.2% distortion, and 8.5 volts of output. We can swap between channels. Our AMM1 read 13 watts. We got 8.54 volts on the Lumi, and we drew 4.71 amps of current. Down to 40 Hz at volume 32. Our HP picked up 17.64 watts RMS, 1.1% distortion, and 8.33 volts of output. Channel swap. Our AMM1 read 15 watts of RMS. We got 8.38 volts on the Lumi, and we drew 4.76 amps of current. Next, we tested the RCA preamp outputs. At 1 kHz, full volume 41, we got 2.76 volts with 1% distortion. At 40 Hz, full volume 42, we got 2.72 volts with 0.53% distortion. Not bad. I'm telling you, this thing is legit for the cost. Under $200, oversized capacitive touchscreen display, USB smartphone screen mirroring with no other adapters required. Would you take a flyer on this? Go to qualitymobilevideo.com to get all of your car audio and video gear with us today. Links in the bio for everything. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that like button. Join the conversation below and subscribe to our channel if you're new. Thanks for watching.